presents to you Honest Talk.
Hi folks, today Mr. Suhas Datta is going to join us. He is a senior management professional at 39 Stranzex Consulting LLP, a group of subject matter experts who provide services around growth sustenance, organizational effectiveness and transformation. He is proficient in business consulting, execution and delivery in robotics and process automation, digital transformation, strategy and transformation, organizational effectiveness, process optimization, distributed service delivery, outsourcing, offshoring, startups and entrepreneurship, IT strategy and delivery, creating, transforming industry and delivery practices. His industry expertise is in retail and consumer products and life sciences and health insurance. He is also a strategic advisor to Gerson Lehrman Group. Prior to this, he has been associated with IQVIA, Delegate Educom Retail Solution, Accenture and more. He speaks at industry forums, has delivered guest lectures at educational institutions and has authored academic papers. He is the co-author of the Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge PMBOK 2004, Project Management Institute, USA. So, let's begin our talk with Mr. Suhas Datta.
First of all, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us. We are extremely very happy to have you for today's talk.
Thanks, Harsh. Appreciate your invitation and love being here.
Thank you so much, sir. It's our pleasure. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is digital transformation is the need of an hour. How and why? Sir, I want to know your thoughts over why prioritizing digital transformation is the need of the hour.
Harshi, I think it's a two-part question really. If I were to take a non-COVID type situation, I think that importance was always there. It was there because companies needed to move forward, needed to break the plateau that everybody had got up to. It also, I think, was an industry-wide change which was required, at least definitely for the traditional type of industries, traditional domains, because people usually used to think, and obviously a lot of this has changed in the last some months or a few years, even in our country, the way it used to work is people used to always think about their selling, their marketing as product-oriented, which means that if I had a product, the English adage, of course, is if I have a hammer, the entire world starts looking like a nail. So very similarly, if I had a product, then I would start thinking, how do I take that product out to the customer? So what digital transformation is supposed to do for you is that you start thinking about the customer, start figuring out how to reach the customer better, how to address needs of the customer, or how do I create a need among the customers. Now, if I do that, can I now walk backwards and start figuring out what to now give the customer? And as we talk about digital transformation, it's not just the customers, right? And I keep saying it's less perhaps in a way about technology, where it's more about people, the customers, your employees themselves, vendors, partners, and so on, right? So that movement, I think, was on. Now with the COVID situation, with the pandemic, with people not being able to go out as freely as they always could, the reason the need for digital transformation is completely staring companies in the face. There are people who are doing bits of it. There are people who are running large digital transformation exercises. Any which way, that movement for companies which want to survive, which want to move ahead, is completely unstoppable right now.
All right, sir. It was really a very great answer. And I think those who are watching this session, of course, they are going to learn much from this session. Sir, my next question to you, as you have talked about COVID, this pandemic, sir, my next question to you, can we conclude that this COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated digital transformation in almost every field?
That's a good and a loaded question. Good question, because the obvious answer is yes, right? So everybody needs to do that, and people started seeing it a whole lot as the pandemic struck, at least in India or in any which other country, in the first couple of months. So which means in India towards late February onwards, in March and April, even running base infrastructure, technology infrastructure for companies started becoming a problem because people just would not get there. Now, with that, it becomes important for people to start thinking about what differently do I do to keep running my organization, keep my lights on, the basic stuff. So that definitely happened in a lot of places. A lot of people started, if not anything else, started getting permissions to be able to access their systems from home or from wherever, whatever other remote locations, right? What is unfortunate is there are a lot of people, and I as I speak with different people, as I see reports, etc., I see there are a lot of people who are unfortunately still talking about it. They do little bits and bobs to be able to go over this current crisis, and they're not really wanting to put in as much money as one needs to start this effort off. Consider the fact that there are many, many companies which had no desire to go digital. So those two sides of the coin still do remain.
All right, sir. Sir, my next question to you, sir, if we talk about economy, do you believe will digital transformation will help to recover into a green economy?
Oh, absolutely. Because see, the first thing which digital will do, it'll reduce the need. And I'm just taking one trivial example. There are many such. It reduces the need for a human being to be in situ in that particular place. Now, as soon as that happens, it enables people to keep doing whatever work they do, even from a remote location, from home. And as I'm sure different people are seeing, even on social media, people have started to migrate to the mountains, to villages, to other places to be able to do their work. So that enables people to remain productive or begin to become productive again from whatever other location. So even something as simple as that, and I'm taking this to be one perspective of digital transformation, not even the one which goes out to customers. I'm talking about the other back end, right? So the employees being digitally enabled, they are able to work. So those very fundamentals, basics start working. Once that does, then people start collaborating, people start working together, the economy starts pulling itself together.
Indeed, sir. Sir, my next question to you, what do you believe, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this digital transformation?
As I keep saying, even to my clients, digital transformation definitely is technology, but technology is an enabler. It's not at least in my mind, and I'm sure my technology partners will not like me saying this, but technology is an enabler. It's not the prime driver. The prime driver is people. Whenever a transformation happens in a large enterprise, in a company, the driver always has to be your people on the ground, your employees, your partners, your vendors, and definitely your customers, because there's a customer need that you're going to generate. Right? Now, as you start doing this, if you start focusing on 2-3 things solely, for example, if you start focusing just on technology, if you start focusing just on a pure strategy and not a whole lot else, if you do not do your strategy well, if you do not consider digital transformation to be something which is going to actually cut your company, and you're going to start all over again in a fashion. If you do not consider those, your efforts to digital transformation will start turning sour. I remember this from some years back. British Airways had started their digital transformation effort. Like many other companies do, unfortunately, they start for looking for particular solutions. Here is a whole bunch of forms which I have, which need to be read up. So some OCR related RPA type of solution goes and puts that in, and similarly others, right? So you start looking for point solutions, and many of these point solutions which are not cogent, which are uncoordinated, they start causing a problem. So what happened at British Airways was they lost some multiple in double-digit millions in their first round of digital transformation. They had to start all over again. They had to create a uniform across the enterprise strategy to be able to do that. And I see a lot of companies falling into that trap wanting to go solution by solution over a period of time. That's okay if you have an overall strategy. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle, right? So if you put this frame together and you start putting the pieces at different points of time, that's fine. But if you don't have that, you will not know where you're going to go. The amount of money that you're going to put in is going to sink. And I've seen examples of this firsthand. I can guarantee it'll sink. What this also starts doing inadvertently is it goes and demoralizes people. All that people are able to see at that point of time is, oh my God, these people are getting automation of some sort or AI units of some sort, which means that we'll have retrenchment, we'll have layoffs. And so this is obviously not a great thing to happen then. Right? So those aspects start coming in.
All right, sir. Sir, as you have mentioned one point about the jobs, sir, my next question related to this point only. Sir, what do you believe? What will be the future of jobs in this digital era, and what skills will be needed?
So I remember writing an article about this somewhere. In my mind, automation, and I'm just using that as one segment of overall digital transformation. What ends up happening, or what should happen with automation, is it should take the mundanity of work away from people. So people, human beings, let them become human beings again. So as I said, so if you're going through hundreds of forms in a day, that's not a pleasurable thing to do, right, for anybody. Can we remove that? Can we bring a human being to do something which is more intelligent, which is more creative? Obviously, companies will have to be sharp about how they do this, how and where they put automation, or where they put digital components, if you will, and where to keep the human beings. So the way I also see it, so see, for example, in some years from now, and I think the technology already has started existing, you can run a factory where it's economically easier, better to do so, where you don't really need so many people anymore. Everything is roboticized, everything is automated, and you can run it wherever the hell you want to. So you do not, and you would not need a whole bunch of people to whom you have to pass information codified for that company, where you have to diffuse that information, that knowledge out. So that entire thing about creating a uniform culture across a very large international enterprise, that starts decreasing, at least in places where the work is not intelligent, where the work can easily be automated. Move those people out of there. Take them out to a place where you start investing in them for them to do something better. That's the way I see this going.
All right, sir. It was again a very great answer from your side. Sir, my next question to you, as we are talking about digital transformation, so digital transformation comes with its own risk and challenges. So I want to know your thoughts over it. Sir, what do you believe? What will be the type of risk and challenges of digital transformation?
Multiple different things. So as I said, again, people, if not done right, the risk is you will start losing people, because you will end up bringing automation into areas which perhaps are not appropriate. So your good people will start going away, which means that places where you needed intelligent or culturally sensitive to your company people, you will not have them. Whatever amount of automation, whatever amount of digital transformation you do, you still will need people who are creative, people who are emotionally intelligent, and so on. Right? So that's one part. The second is the very large risk which many companies run. Again, as I keep saying, unless you have a strategy front-ending your overall digital transformation, I can almost guarantee you will fail. Which means a lot of money down the tube, a lot of time, energy down the tube as well. So you can choose to obviously keep doing your point solutions. They'll never really come together. You start creating this behemoth, technology behemoth, for the company to solve later. That ends up being a problem. So these are two problems, two large enterprise encompassing problems right off the bat.
Or let's say, sir, we have discussed digital transformation from the perspective of an organization and from the corporate world. But if we talk about its impact on our lives, so sir, what do you believe? How digital transformation will impact the lives of the people and the job market?
The nature of, if I were to take the second part of the question first, the nature of jobs, I think, is going to change. Like my usual always example, so processing of forms which human beings do day in, day out, that could stop, right? So for example, or any other such mundane stuff that could stop. Things which are very repetitive in nature, they could and should stop. And I've always felt this, even when I used to be employed, if I could get automation into software development as much as possible, which would take the boring stuff out, that would really help. Yeah. So for example, for the technology oriented people here, so if you're developing code, if you're building something, doing the builds, doing the usual test cases, all manual, all stuff, which it can't be enjoyable. Those kind of things are not enjoyable, right? So if I can start getting automation in, that helps. And whether that's digital transformation or not is a question one can debate, but that's where it really starts. It's about that mentality of where we can take and where we can really positively put the human beings. So that obviously is one part, and the way I think it's going to start impacting us is the way we as customers, how we are interacted with by a company, by somebody who, I don't know, whatever retail type of stuff that they produce, right? So whether I can interact with a white goods company directly to be able to, for example, if my refrigerator has gone wrong, how do I interact with that company now? How does the repair actually happen? Or if I'm buying a whatever other electronic gadget, how do I interact with that company? Or from that fridge, as it has started already happening in many, many countries now, can I order a carton of milk? Can I start, the common example, of course, can I use Alexa to be able to order something? How prolific does it become? How ubiquitous in our life does it really become? And I'm using some examples which already exist. That will start going out all across to different companies. So if it's a supply chain company, which is taking maybe either just a packet, or if it's a 3PL, which means a third-party logistics company, if it's taking goods from place to place, how do I start getting information out? Even if you look inside the company, if there's a case of, let's say, Amul butter, which is being transported from one place to the other, how quickly do I get information about the fact that the truck has stopped somewhere? How do I manage to now, my other part of digital transformation, how do I start making or creating a mechanism by which I can get a spare part for the truck which is stopped somewhere in the middle of a forest, for example? How do I get that spare part out to that truck as quickly as possible? How do I really do this? How does the logistics of that entire operation really work? Which means that the box of butter which is being transported from one place to the other doesn't get spoiled. Of course, besides the fact that usual IoT as it works in a cold chain already, you know what the temperature is and how long you can keep it and so on.
All right, sir. Again, it was really a very great answer, and the example which you have given, of course, I think those who are watching this session, much fruitful for them also. Sir, I don't want to take you much time, so moving to my last question of this session. The question is, sir, being an entrepreneur, what advice will be from your side to all those entrepreneurs who are finding this time is very challenging, and what will be your advice how they can convert this pandemic into an opportunity?
This actually is a difficult question to answer. And I at least don't think there's one silver bullet. There are different kinds of things which you need to do. You will, as you go and even start traversing basic social media, as you start traversing things like even LinkedIn, you will see that there are many, many people who are moving away from what their core strength used to be. Yeah, so there are, I know of a partner consulting startup company who are moving away, at least for the time being, from the usual FMCG distribution type of consulting into providing training to salespeople. And that's okay. Maybe it's for a short period of time within which they keep their meter running. Right? So there are companies I've seen who are moving away from their form of business to something which is adjacent, not completely out, but just adjacent, which means that they will continue doing that till the time is ripe and then come back. So you need to be able to see what is it that you can do differently per the kind of needs which are getting generated today. There's a friend of mine who was into digital marketing in a way. He has moved away from that, is starting to create a mechanism for coaching, mentoring first-year MBA students. Completely something that he had not done, but the need is there. And because the MBA students right now are a captive audience, right? They're not going to their MBA schools right now. They're sitting at home, of course, studying and of course attending the classes and all that. But the access to, let's say, Zoom for them is slightly higher in terms of time. Right? So now it starts creating that captive audience. So you've got to be able to think slightly differently. You've got to be able to, and obviously that's a cliched statement, as in thinking differently. But you've got to start thinking about what is the need today? What has changed? How do I start looking at, again, keeping the customer focus? How do I start looking at problems that people are facing today and how can I fix that? There are some chefs I know, regular hotel restaurant chefs, who have started at least temporary home kitchens from where they're selling food. So something as simple as that.
It is again a very great advice from your side, and also it was a great interaction with you. Thank you so much, sir, for joining, and most importantly, giving your important time. It was a great session with you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Thanks, Harsh. Love doing this.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.